This is the last example for this section. It says determining warranty periods. The manufacturer of personal music players has determined that the mean life of players is 32.4 months, with a standard deviation of 6.3 months. Now, if we go to our curve, and again, I would like you to make a bell-shaped curve if you don't have one. Help you in assisting to answer the question, give you something visual to look at. Just move that here so it should be in the middle. And remember, the curve represents, in this case, 100% of all music players produced. Music players on this side of the curve are 50%, so half would not make it to the mean of 32.4 months. So it will be 0 standard deviations at this point. You're at the mean. And half the music players would have a life longer than 32.4 months. And the standard deviation, so mean and the standard deviation, is standard deviation is 6.3 months. So I'm not counting back or adding on the 6.3. Remember, this is one standard deviation below. The negative would mean it's below the mean. 2 standard deviations below. 3 standard deviations below the mean. And you can go one above, 2, 3. The question asks, what length of warranty should be offered if the manufacturer wants to restrict repairs to less than 1.5% of all players sold? So the manufacturer is having a warranty that's going to leave a lot of people out. It's only going to cover 1.5% of all the players sold. Now that 1.5%, remember, this is the 50% mark right here. 1.5% would probably represent the players down in this region here. So a very small portion of the players will get covered. Now, to solve this, we'll go back to our z-score equation. Score, subtract the mean, divide by standard deviation. So out of this, we know the mean here. We know the standard deviation. We're given a percentage, which means that we can find the z-score using the table. So then we're going to be left with what we have to find, which is the score. In other words, the number of months. So go to our table. Now it's 1.5%. Oops. So it's 1.5%. We need to change that back to a decimal number. So 0.015. Remember to change percent back to a decimal. You divide by 100. And we are below the mean, so we use our negative z-scores. And we're looking for 0.015. Okay, that's right here. So we look up and across. So the number will be negative 2.17. So our z-score is -2.17. Well, that's the last piece we needed for this equation to solve it. So -2.17 equals x subtract 32.4 over our standard deviation, which is 6.3. Now we're going to cross multiply here. Keep in mind, every number, if the denominator is not stated, is over 1. So we'll cross multiply. Or you could consider as multiplying by the common denominator, which will be the same thing. So -2.17 times 6.3 gives you -13.67. 1. Now 1 times anything doesn't change it. So we need to find our x value. I'm going to move the 32 over to the other side. So -13.671 is there. Add on the 32.4 and we'll get our score. So we have 18.729 months. Well, we'll run that, we'll say, an 18-month period. So in terms of number of months, would be 18. And if I look at this a little further now, I'd estimated earlier, our z-score was -2.17. So I'll just fix this so I don't cause any confusion. It's not 3 standard deviations away. Here's 2. So it's a little less, sorry, a little more than 2 standard deviations away. So this would represent that region. So here, right there, is your 18-month period. That would be the extent of the warranty.